Good afternoon, Elaheh. It's so nice to see you, and it's so lovely to welcome you. You are in Tehran. This isn't something we'd normally be able to do in a normal year of the festival, so it's exceptional for us to be able to have you as our guest here this year. Thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say hi from Tehran, but still during the very, very strange time in the world. Thank you so much, everyone, to watch our film in this difficult time. But I hope that you enjoy the film. As still, even in this time, Firuze still, she's living like you see in the film. So means that we have to hope to the future. And we have to wait all together for the better days. And I'm really so excited that still with cinema and film, during this time, we can share our experience and our perspectives to our world. First of all, I just wanted to thank you, both Film Festival and the audiences who are here and just watched our film. Yeah, I'm ready to talk about our film.
Thanks. And today, actually, in Wales, it's Dydd Sul y Mamau, which is Mother's Day. So it's a special day for all mothers here in Wales today. So it feels particularly fitting to be talking about Beloved, about this film about Firuze, who's an 82-year-old mother of 11. You know, it's just quite amazing what a strong woman she is. And it's also International Women's Day, which brings me on to my, it's International Women's Day month. It was International Women's Day earlier this week. It brings me on to my question for you, actually, Elaheh. I'd like to start by asking about your experience of being a woman in the Iranian film industry. You know, you're really pioneering your role as producer, as a sales agent, distributor. How did you get into this? What's it like for you?
You know, I just started working in cinema from when I was 18, and right now it's more than 16 years I'm working in cinema. But as you can see, in Iran, it's very, very difficult for women to work professionally, no matter in industry or in art or any, because before we do anything, first of all, we have to prove ourselves. And it just takes our energy. So I remember that when I was 25, 26, still I had a very, very good memories from those days. But, you know, we were really under the pressure because I don't want to say many things that you may hear in media about Iranian society, how they are treated with the women and how many limitations do we have. But whenever we are talking about media and cinema, they are more curious. They are more, they are more curious about what we are doing. They are more worried. So all the time we were checking every year. And that was a very, very difficult time for us because not only about my trip, my travels, my relationship, but also about the subjects of film, which I'm working on distribution and as a producer. But right now I just work on more than 40 films as a distributor mainly, and as a producer for 5 feature films. And thanks God, it seems that if we try, that any type of limitation, it just brings some sort of creativity, because you have to be more deeper on your side and think about something new, which maybe the normal maybe a community couldn't do that. So in one side, it was a really difficult time for me, but in the other side, I learned a lot. I learned a lot to be strong, to tell something very new to the world. And yeah, that is why that is the situation, and some years I passed till now. But right now I'm the youngest Iranian producer in Iran, and actually the youngest distributor, which I'm a little bit happy for that.
Definitely. Well, I think you must have a lot of things in common with Firuze about your independence and your spirit and your resilience. I wanted to ask you next about, where did your journey start working on Beloved? Have you known the director Yasser Talebi for long? How did you get involved with this project?
Yeah, I just worked as a distributor on his previous film, which was a fiction film. And one day he called me and said, because, you know, the film is in the north of Iran, and the director, he was born in that region. And he called me and said, would you please accompany me, and do you like to produce the film? And then just describing 2 lines about Firuze. And I said, wow, how it can be possible. you are kidding me? She can climb the mountain like a person who is 25, 26. He said, yes, just come with me and discover her. So before making any film, as I told you, we just try to live with Firuze, just to make a family. So after 2017, when I received this recommendation, we started to go there and live with Firuze, because she didn't let us to filming her in the first minutes of the filming, because you know why? Because she believed, when we talk a lot about what we can do, what we can make for your life, she said, you're kidding me, how you want to make a movie in 1 hour, less than 1 hour, for my 82 years? No, it's not something very clear, and it's just like a joke. Don't think about it, don't take your time, and don't follow me. Let me live myself, let me have my life. And she was a very, very strong life. But in any moment we worked with her, we learned a lot about how that's some sort of how can I say, humor, and how some sort of being a very, very specific character. That every time we went there, we were more sure, and we were totally sure that we loved her, and maybe the audience, they will like her as well, as long as we. And then after 2 months we were there, then we asked her officially, please, would you please let us to bring our camera and just live with you through that camera? Yeah, and that's the time we just started.
There's this amazing sense of moving through the seasons in the film, and of course we're entering into spring now, and right towards the end of the film, I think you see the celebrations for Nowruz, the Iranian New Year. Does it mean something to you at this particular time, heading towards spring?
Yeah, for us, spring is the beginning of the year, because less than 1 week we are going to start our new year, which is Nowruz. And that's the green trees, the very, very beautiful nature, as you can see, the beautiful maybe screen which was in the north of Iran. These signs of green, these green gray, that's trees and the atmosphere and the nature, it's the sign of hope, and just as a very, very great start for us, for all of us. So we do respect, we do love spring in Iran, because this is it is the sign of our beginning, of our start in a year, and it's just like a restart for all of us. And honestly, I lived with Firuze for 2 years. I as her grandchildren first, and then as a producer. So, but really in Iran, we had a very, very difficult time during the last 2 or 3 years. That our people, they were suffering because of many reasons. And just imagine when COVID came, how they just are confused. They are still confused. But whenever we told Firuze, you are living here, it's totally empathy from all the sorts of concern and worries which we can see through the eyes of those girls who are living in the city. And she said, you have 2 ways to be through there. One way is just thinking about your problem, and the other is thinking about what you have and what you can do yourself for your life. This is my choice. And so maybe any of you will have your choice, your own choice as well. So don't think about the problematic points. And I just told all of my relatives, families, whenever they were really tired and confused of the problem, I said, look, I'm just living with, a very different person in the world, and let's think about a good thing we have. Yeah. 4 seasons, for 2 years, we lived with her, and that was a very good time for all of us.
She seems like such a great example to all of us to follow. Her philosophy towards life. Actually, there was a lot of philosophy in there around the connection with nature. So she said things like, when trees blossom, people blossom with them. And, that nature rejuvenates. I was thinking, there's a really strong ecological message here, isn't there, about how we should be living in the film. and this traditional way of life that perhaps we've lost here in Wales. We used to have the hendre and the hafod, so these the winter farm and the summertime pasture. And even here in Wales, people would move between the two with transhumance in the seasons. And with our modernisation and industrialisation, we've kind of lost the connection with nature. Is that something that young Iranian people feel when they watch this film as well?
Yes, how modern life and how some sort of different type of instrument in our life have the effect of being apart from nature. And still, when in new generation, I mean that even my parents, because my parents, they were born not in city, but not in Tehran. They were more close to the nature. But whenever they see some sort of this film, they remember all of their golden time in their life, and it shows how we are how we are beeline to the nature. And absolutely right for us as the new generation, which we are very, very far from this type of experience. Before making any film, before reaching our audiences, for me, it was some sort of revolution in my life. I just changed the direction of my eyes for the future. And when it happened for me, my directors and our young team, then we were sure that we should make it and just introduce this to our friends. Start from Iran and go, and let's see if the other people around the world, they will like this type of lifestyle.
Yeah. So I think there's so much in common, and the film's been successful all over the world. I mean, it's been at Berlin, at Hot Docs. Can you tell us about how many people have seen it so far worldwide?
I'm more than happy to say, we were in ITFA. We were in the top 10 audience award of ITFA Film Festival. For the 7 days, for the first 7 days, we were in the first choice, but there was some comedy documentary. We just changed. We were in the second, and they were in the first. And in the last 2 days of ITFA, I remember that they asked us for 8 or 9 extra screening, which sold out the tickets less than 2 hours. So it was around 3,000 to 4,000 only in ITFA. So generally we could reach more than 80, 90,000 or around 100. I have to calculate, but we had a very, very good success in big festivals. We were in Hot Docs. We were selected as the best film in 2019 by the audiences. And it was a very good achievement for us, because through the 300 and 500 selected documentaries, it was a very good achievement for us. Yeah, and we were in more than 72 international film festivals. Yeah.
But I mean, how has the pandemic affected things since then? Because you were traveling and giving, talks in Spain, and when I first started communicating with you. But how are things now during the pandemic? Is it making you refocus how you get the film out now?
Very difficult, very tough time. It's a very tough time for us. But that was not Firuze who went to festivals. Me and my team, we went to, unfortunately, because many festivals, they invited her, but she couldn't accept. And I can tell you in the next moments why she didn't accept all the information. You will. That's a very good, point. During pandemic, so unfortunately we couldn't attend in festivals, and even the TV channels, they couldn't buy the films, because it is in the second year of the life of our film, and we were by the way, last year, as I told you, some sort of TV channels like Akhter, Rai, Al Jazeera, they bought the film. But after that, we do really hope that this year we could have some more TVs to ask us for the broadcasting. But because of the situation all around the world, so that was a really difficult time for us. But I'm still happy, because through the online system, we can have the screening in festivals, and more people, they can watch the film.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about whether you'd ever heard of a woman called Hannah Hawkswell. Hannah Hawkswell is a woman from Yorkshire, and in the 1970s and 1980s, ITV made some films about her, documentaries about her, and she She was also had this great relationship with her cows, but when people saw her living in poverty and without running water and without electricity, the viewers on ITV, they wanted to send her money, and people sent gifts and sent money to her. Has Firuze had any response like that? Has her life changed at all after the film having been made? Have people, she become a little celebrity? Or
no, you know why? Because she doesn't want it, because she's, you know, the very important thing in the film is that, for me, she is a rich woman. She not, at least not rich, maybe middle woman. She doesn't need any more money. This is the choice that she will like. You know, as you can see in the film, she has a house in the village, but in the summer and in the spring, she just climbs the mountain, go another house. This is her choice. For example, she doesn't like to use phone. You know, she doesn't like to have a mobile, and you know, this is some sort of her choices. We do respect her. So yeah, she never asked us for anything, and she was totally satisfied with her lifestyle and whatever the God brings to her life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that simple life in that way of actually just being able to live from the land, that gives her that great independence and strength. I think this would be a lovely time to bring our audience in to ask some questions now. So I would like everybody in the audience to put themselves maybe on gallery view, which will give us a little bit more of a community feel. Hopefully we'll see some faces. And if you have a question for Elaheh, perhaps put your hand up, or use the reactions button to raise your hand. Any questions out there?
I think Roger's got a question, I think. Roger Macy.
Hi, yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the film and for this discussion. I enjoyed the film a lot. There's all sorts of things I could ask, but if I'd like to ask a little bit more about the filmmaking. I appreciate you're not the director, but you said you were living with the subjects. Yeah, so you just mentioned, I think, the original concept was under an hour, this medium length, which kind of surprises me. I see Yasser was the photographer and the director, but not the editor. And it must have been a hard job cutting it down. I admired the way that you made this intrinsically slow subject of a film that doesn't hang about at all. And I'm just wondering, you know, was that a conscious choice about the editing? Where did the editor come into the project, and how did it evolve?
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your comments. I'm happy that you like the film. You know, we try to don't use another cinematographer, to don't bring this, because we just wanted to keep this family. You know, after 2 months, if any strangers will come to our group, so definitely it would maybe make some sort of distraction, because you know, she's not adapted to, she didn't adapt it to be in, you know, to talk in front of the many strangers. She just wanted to try to be herself, to be in her loneliness, and we wanted to keep it. So we didn't have a big group, just the cinematographer who was the editor, who was the director as well. But the editor, he was our I mean, very, very close friends. He just met her at the end of the film. We called her and we talked with her from the beginning, that in 2017, or by the end of 2017, from the beginning of the film. So every time we come back from that mountain and village, we shared all the materials with him, and he were very familiar with our experience. Yeah, from the beginning, he were in our group, and that was the reason I didn't bring any other person as a cinematographer. We were in a very, very small group. We just wanted to keep this situation that we are like her grandchildren, to be more close to her.
Thank you. Yes, because people often find it hard to edit their own work, you know, because they have an investment in it. And yeah. You mentioned grandchildren. Can I ask about children and grandchildren,
Yes, sure.
the real ones? I mean, you chose not to have them in the film. Like,
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit more?
Yeah, it's a long story because she doesn't want to ask her children, because as you can see, she was not happy with some of her children because they didn't come to the mountain, they didn't come to village and visit her. And she at least to keep her belief on her children, she didn't want to talk more about her children. But as long as we heard, she were not happy with most of them because they were, because of today's life, they were busy in the big cities in Iran, and they didn't have enough time to go there and visit their mother, and she was angry with that. As you can see when she's talking with them through the phone, but one by one she said that, can you imagine maybe one day your mother won't be in this world? And so she loved them. You cannot even imagine. For example, I asked her for her daughters, and she said, I said, what was the last time for the two of your daughters, they came here? She said, more than 1 year ago. You know what I'm talking about? It's just only 4-hour driving from the city to that village. But she loved them. She said, Elaheh, I know that how the life is difficult, and they are struggling with the problematic points. So I'm satisfied with them. But I sometimes when I am very, very lonely, I just thinking maybe if they could come here, listen one day, and we can chat. So I could have a better feeling. And she really would love that her children can live with her, but because of their family, because of their children's, she always said, I know that you cannot live here, and because of their children, that because of their children, my children should live here. And so, okay, I'm okay with them, but I know how different type of problems do they have. And sometimes they called her mother to solve their problems. Yeah.
Yeah, we see that, don't we? We always run back to our mums in time of need if we're lucky enough to still have them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, there is a question here. Somebody said, I was wondering how her children felt about fame. Same question from, yeah, that's a very important question. Thank you so much, because many people, they ask me. Honestly, we couldn't screen the film in Iran because we promised her, and she asked us to don't show the film as long as I'm living. Please show the film to my children when I'm not in this world. And we try to keep our promise. So none of, and I have many messages in my Instagram, in my email. Her children, they asked me. We heard a lot, they said that, Elaheh, we have some guests here. I heard that some of the people from Netherlands, from Germany, they came and they visit my mother. They see the films of our mother, and we couldn't see that. And I cannot say anything. This is the promise which we just, gave her, and we have to do respect it. Yeah, she asked us to keep the film after her. I don't know, maybe they can see the film.
I think there's another question in the chat from Esme.
Yeah.
She seems to have a good sense of humor. Did you get the same impression of her? Exactly.
She was she never lived in big cities. She doesn't like to see the modern people in this world, but she has some sort of humor, and she was a lovely person. She was strong, sometimes very angry, but between being and angry, she was really, some sort of humor. Yeah, she's really cute. I loved her interaction with the forestry. Yeah, exactly.
The forestry officials, yeah.
Yeah, she had such a touching sensitivity with the drought. Did she have any opinion about modern intensive farming methods? No, she's not happy with that, because she said that these modern instruments, they will kill us, because it just I don't know, in her opinion, it just bring out our our power, our attached to this, to our cows. So as long as you see, she didn't use the instrument for getting milk from the cows. She just did it, all of them, with her hand, and it's a very, very difficult thing, having 40 cows and just receiving the milk by hand. Yeah, that was all of her choice. And whenever we talked about new instrument, she said, "You asked me about my age. That's the reason I do whatever I can with my hand and with my leg, So if I was adapted to new instrument, they will kill me. They will get my life. I still wanted to survive." Yeah. Aren't those the real phone number of the children? And aren't those the yeah. So one time she said that I want to call my as you asked about her children. When we asked about children, how we can show them, we need to show something about your children. She said, okay, the only thing I think that you can do is just accompany me, because I want right now to call all of them, and maybe it can be a good part. And because the film was about herself and not about her children, and so we didn't go there, and we ourselves, we don't like to do this because she doesn't like this, and yeah, we just obeyed her rule.
I wanted to ask about her sense of humor, and she kind of has a mischievousness, and you kind of get a sense where she's kind of controlling things. It's almost like she's directing you towards things, and creating those scenarios like you've just described with the telephone calls.
Yeah.
And her rebelliousness as well,
Exactly. And sorry for the interruption. There is another beautiful part. You cannot even imagine. Maybe you can remember when the cows, they are just climbing down the mountains and she's just following them. When we wanted to shoot that part, my director, he was trying to, to make a film very close of her, and when we arrive, in the last part of the mountain, she said, "No, it's not good. You have to go there upstairs, and when I'm just going down, then turn on your camera." And definitely that is a very, very more beautiful shot. And we and that was one of the beautiful shots in the film.
Yeah.
In the middle of the film, she was really like a cinematographer, film director, and that was a very good experience for me too.
Yeah, so she was actually showing you the landscape through her eyes, I think, and showing us the landscape through her eyes. There was also a lot of kind of almost like poetry, the way she narrated parts of the documentary. I don't know if that was scripted or whether that was her naturally speaking, the recordings.
All of the recordings are her natural voice. Yeah. We record. We just wrote the story, and we talk with her, and because that was the thing we hear. That out of the shooting we hear from herself, and we just prepared it in a letter, and then we start to practice. It just take a little bit time because she couldn't be very familiar with the voicing, but you cannot even imagine, she's really talented. After one time when we said we need this one, some sort of this, for example, accent, and she just did it perfectly, you can see. And there's a question here: do you think that the film influenced her decision to only go to the sponsor? You mean that does this film influence for her next decision to go to mountain? Yeah, am I right, Ron?
I think it must mean to go to the mountains again.
She said she would only go for one more year, and then she would stop.
Okay. Thank you, Nicola. Thank you. Yeah, because when she heard about the success of the film out of Iran, it just made her and there is the other some sort of humor which I would love to tell you. When we said we want to make a film about you, she said, "What do you want to make? What do you want to show? This is the real life, and many people in the world, they had the same life." And we said, "No, please let me do this, because we believe that still there are people, they couldn't, they haven't seen such this type of life stuff, and they will love it. And she couldn't, she didn't agree with us. But after the festivals, as long as she received gifts and good news and some it was really unbelievable. Some of the audiences in Europe, they just came to her house directly. They didn't even stop to Tehran. They just came to her house directly. And she said, wow, thanks God, you just came here because of my film? No, I cannot. And this type of feedback, really, and I totally agree with you, Nicola, just make her choice more strong, and just to continue her decision in her life. And hopefully nobody could stop her of going up and taking and looking after the cows. So she still is continuing, and I can say that even she is more healthier than me and my time, because most of the time we are on the computer, and even we didn't have time to go for walking, but she do sport more than us through the day. Yeah,
it's walking that will keep you young. There's a question in the chat from Joanna.
Yeah.
I'm curious about those beautiful songs in the film. Is that her friends singing or her?
Not her, but we found a very, very nice woman like her in that village. She has a very good voice, and Firuze like her. Firuze herself like this woman and her sound. And we asked her give this permission to use her voice. But these women lived in the same village with some sort of same kind of lifestyles. Yeah, and in Iran we couldn't hear the voice of women. We just could hear nearly, but she has a very, very good voice for us. And when she just sang for the first time, I said, wow, please, we want it, and please be with us. And we just recorded. Yeah, there's someone else.
Yeah. I also noticed the sound design of the film was particularly beautiful, with the sounds of nature overlaid with the voices.
Yeah. Hopefully he's one of the honestly, we worked very independently, so we don't have any type of supports to have all the professionals of our cinemas, but she's one of them. And as and even the music, the sound editor, the music, the composer, they all love the character first, and they decide to join us because we couldn't pay them too much. We were just have a very low budget, but they all love the character, and they just wanted to do something for her life, just to do their share. And hopefully, with a very, very minimum payment, he accepts to do the sound editing and everything. Yeah.
That's really generous. I think Roger has another question. He's just popped in the chat.
Yeah, please.
Roger, do you want to unmute?
Oh,
you're on mute.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, something you just mentioned about her, getting very quickly professional about, making the shots. I mean, does she have any, awareness? Does she have a television when she's in the village? I mean, it's just, any experience of watching cinema screens? What's her own screen consciousness?
She doesn't have any type of screen, because whenever I just wanted to buy as a gift and bring to her house, she said, no, don't bring it, because I don't have time. I don't have any extra time to watch movies. And it shows how she is, apart from this type of media. Yeah, she didn't have, and she doesn't like to have any type of TV. So there is another question, I think. Yes, I agree with Did Firuze see the film before? Yeah, am I right, Rhowan?
Yeah, that's right. Question from Gwen Kian. Did Firuze see the film before it was released?
Even right now, she hasn't seen the film yet. It's whenever we ask her, she said, no, let's do its job, and then if we have a free time, we can gather together and see the film. And actually, but we bring all the feedbacks from the audiences in all around the world, from Asia, from Korea, from Europe, and we just bring all the videos to them. And sometimes she was crying, and we had the video. If you would like, I can share with you. She said, did they watch my film and they have this feeling? And we said yes. And you know, it is some sort of, yeah, she still wanted to be very unique. I mean, that she doesn't accept our invitation for watching the movie. Yeah, she didn't see the film yet.
That's amazing. Gwen Llian, do you have your hand raised again?
Yes, I did. I wanted to know, you know, at the end, she asks to record herself and to talk to her son, and she's crying and it's really emotional. So she hasn't seen that. Does she know that that's gone out to the world, that the whole world can see that?
Yeah. Each good, I mean, that's any good news which we have in the world or the festivals, and people, they just share with her, and she was more than happy. You know why? She has a very, very kind heart, because whenever we called her and she said, Firuze, for example, we have a very important invitation from Berlinale. Do you know what is Berlinale? Berlinale is the most important festival in the world. And she said, okay, I don't know what you are talking about. You know, but I'm happy for, we asked, yes. She said, I'm happy for you, because you lived with me for 2 years. And if it makes you happy, I'm happy with that. And I was in a press conference in Italy, I don't remember where, when they asked, in which festival Firuze accept the invitation. I remember that one night I asked them, Firuze, Berlinale, they invite you to come in Berlinale and they would love to see the film. She said, what do you mean? Berlinale? I have 40 cows. Nobody in the world is more important than my cows. Please send my special regards and my special hellos to all the audiences who just put their golden time to come to the cinema and see my film. But unfortunately, it's impossible for me to even leave my village and go to Tehran, you know, because Tehran is the capital city of Iran. But she's never been here, and she doesn't like that. Yeah, she was her choice and her lifestyle was very different. But as long as we were happy with the film, she was super excited and she was super happy, because from the beginning of the film, she prevented us to make a film. But at the end of the film, I was super busy with my new projects, but each 2 months I called one of the neighbors, and they bring the phone, bring the mobile to her, and she said, where are you? I really miss you. So after the film, you just gone and you don't want to do anything with me, you know. We had some sort of a very, very good relationship, like a child, like a grandchildren. And she said that unfortunately my grandchildren, they are very busy, they are not coming and visit me, but at least you came, and thank you so much for living with me for 2 years. But that was the main person that we should thank her, to let us be here. And anytime if we couldn't be there, she just sent us our, you know, souvenir, some sort of delicious thing which she made with her hands. And even if we couldn't go there, but she sent all the souvenir from her side to us. Yeah.
Any other questions? I have one, if no one else has one. I was chatting to a dairy farmer here in Wales a couple of weeks ago, and he was telling me that every single one of his cows, I think he has 80, has a name. And they're all uniquely named. Does Firuze have names for her cows? Are they like family? Are they like children to her?
Not a specific name for all of them, but for a few of them, which she loved very much. Yeah, she called with their names. Yeah, and she had a very, very good feelings with them. She lived with them. And you know what she said? She said that I can find and touch my God through this nature and cows. I can see my God here, because she's praying. But whenever we ask her, please come to village and do praying in mosque, she said, no, my mosque and my God is here and not down. And so let's the other people who cannot have this experience, they pray there. My God is here. And it seems that these nature and animals are the symbol of life, I mean, that's of God, and yeah, the reality of the life to her.
Mm. Yeah, it struck us when we were talking about the film earlier that although you know, her religion, she's Muslim, and yet she could be animist, you know, or a nature worshipper.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if that somehow is a remnant of the culture from many years ago in that part of the world. Is it common for people to have this respect and love for nature?
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. And you know, for me, she was like a university. She was like a master. She was like a person whenever I remember her, I find myself, I remember myself again, what I have in this world.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes during the very, very crowded city, during the busy time, which we all have as the new generation, sometimes we forgot to go there. I mean, to go somewhere else, just to have some fresh airs, have some sort of different type of lifestyles, and we forgot what we have, and we are just nagging, and we are just complaining about whatever which we have, especially for my generation. And whenever I remember her, I remember that, yeah, we have many things in our world to think about that, and to thank God for all of them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Thank you. We have a question, I think, from Gwenda. Gwenda, do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Hello. Yes, I was just, I mean, lovely film. And actually, it really made me, reminded me of my grandparents, who are both farmers and you know, up in the mountains. And they used to bring sheep down. Quite different though, sheep and cows, totally different. But they used to walk the sheep a long way. But yes, I was wondering what your new projects were. You mentioned that you're now busy on something else. So I was just wondering what was what you had going, and whether you were making new films.
Yeah, if I'm right, you asked about my new projects, yes? And but you
yes.
Yeah. You know, I'm searching for some sort of films which are about my culture, my historical points, my unique people in Iran, which maybe other audiences they didn't see them, or they didn't even could have any imagination for them. So my next film after Beloved, I have 3 projects, and all of them, they are in production stage, but they are about, one of them is about a young girl who is in a difficult situation in the same part of Iran, north of Iran. And after Beloved, we are working on that as the new project. And the other films are about some Kurdish girls who just go and for fighting with ISIS, because when they decide to go and fight with ISIS, they have to forget their femininity. And my question is that why they accept such this maybe stupid decision, I don't know, but maybe they have some goals which we don't know about that. So this is one of my films which is about these women as a producer, and this is a co-production between me and a France company. And yeah, these and actually I have another film which I hope that in the next edition of your festival I can introduce to you, Holy Bread. It is just in Hot Dogs next week, 2 weeks later, and I'm the co-producer, not the main producer. But the topic of this film is very emotional, but it's about some sort of humanity. It's totally different with Be Allowed, but it still is about people and their concern, because I believe that with making a documentary, we should think about the reality of different type of people in the world, and we have to do it as long as we can, because we had different type of stories, different type of people around the world, and this is the documentary films can let us go there and discover there and live with them. So these type of subjects are the subjects of my new films, which I would love to share with you in the next year.
Yeah, and will they have the same sort of documentary style where you really live with the people and try and draw out from them little nuggets about their life?
You know why? Because I believe that I myself, firstly, or director or anybody who is going to make a film, first of all, we have to believe on what we are going. So first of all, we have to be the first audience. We have to feel that person. So if you just from the beginning, you bring your camera and go for directly, you know, one of the, if the film is good, one of the main reason is that Firuze, you can see in the film, Firuze doesn't see the camera, not in none of the moments, you know, and it's just how, you know, and we have to do it before, because we want to be more close to our characters. So I still, first of all, I try to be close, to discover them, to talk about them, to research them, to live with them, and then start filmmaking. And in this way, we can be more close to them, and we can bring the audiences more close to the character.
Yes, I think that's probably very much why it's been successful, because it's a very gentle process. And one of the lovely things for me was it just drew me into life in, you know, south of the Caspian Sea, which is a place that I've only imagined in my dreams. You know? So it's wonderful to have that opening into that world.
You have to come, you know, from here, from tonight. Well,
I looked it all up on Google Earth, so I could see where it was and imagine myself there.
But please be aware that from this night you have a friend like me in Iran, and whenever I can put my email address here, and whenever you, after pandemic, I don't know, whenever you want to come here, just let me know. 1 month ago, I don't know, two months ago, and I would be more than happy to show you to show you a different place of Iran, different type of people, culture. Yeah, and I would be more than happy to do this. Thank you so much for your comment. Yeah,
that'd be wonderful.
My address here, and then you can have.
We have a couple more questions. There's a question from Neil in the chat. Does Elaheh feel cinema has the potential to allow audiences outside Iran to see the real people of Iran? And is there awareness of this in Iran? I've been impressed by the humanity and complexity thereof in all the Iranian films I've seen so far.
Okay, if you just let me, I'm just trying to read it again. Okay, thank you so much. That's very kind of you. And I don't know, Neil, if you are here or not, but I'm really happy to hear that our film can show our people and our culture, and maybe yeah, that's a very, very good news for me. But you know, Iranian artists all the time, they are like the other countries as well. They all try to keep our culture and history and art through cinema, because otherwise they will be removed and nobody is interested to save them, to keep them, or at least to introduce them as the way as they are. So this is the duty of our filmmakers, to keep it, to bring it to the world. And I'm really happy that you have the same feeling throughout our films. I know it's not needed to say I apologize. If you need the link of my film, I will be more than happy to share with you. And yeah, I hope I can see all of you in Iran.
Thank you. Thank you. I think, Gwen Llian, do you have your hand raised still?
Yes, I've got it raised. What I wanted to know was, where did you stay when you stayed with her? And also in relation to that, did the fact that you were there influence the way that she was working, or did you help her, or, you know, did you get involved in her life? I mean, I don't know if I could stay with somebody and not offer help in their work. And, you know, I was just wondering, you know, what that experience was like, really.
Yeah, you know, from the beginning, it was very difficult for us to help her, because she did what she did. It was very difficult for us because we were not strong enough to do that. But yeah, for example, when she woke up in the first day, I remember that when she woke up at 4 a.m. and we promised her last night to wake up early, and she said, "Come on, wake up! You promised me from the first day, even you cannot be wake up at 4. I said, well, 4, you know how, what time you wake up in Iran, in Tehran? 8 a.m. or 7, at the earliest time, 7 a.m. And she, you know, from the, when she accept when she let us to be with her, she tries to accompany us. And she said, if you want to be here, you have to be wake up at 4 a.m. You wanted to make a film about me. So how you want to do this? If you want to sleep till 8, so till 9, I will do half of my job, and you just miss half of the film, you know? So from the first time, it was a little bit difficult to adjust our lifestyle with her, but from the first week, we really enjoyed that. And whenever my parents, they called me, Elaheh, come here, and you know, we really miss you just for 2 months. I said, you cannot even imagine how I am. I have a very, very good feeling here. But my father, because he lived in village before, he was the only person who could understand me. And he said, if I was instead of you, definitely I will not live there. It's a very beautiful place. Yeah, we tried to help her when she went for in the yard. I mean that for when she tried to make lunch, I helped her. And when she were taking care of animals, of cows, one of my colleagues, he went there and helped her for giving milk. We tried to be like her. It was a very difficult thing for us, but we tried, because as long as we lived with her, we learned and we enjoyed. And that was not something which she pushed us to do. That's from the beginning, maybe, but after 1 week, we loved it. And when we leave her, we missed it. You know, we were some sort of adaptation to that lifestyle. Yeah, that was a good memory for me.
Thank you, Elaheh. I don't think there are any more questions in the chat. Are there any more questions from the floor? Anybody with a hand raised? No. I think, oh, maybe Roger's got one more.
Yeah. I would like to ask.
Thank you. Sorry to keep asking questions, but I mean, I was thinking that Rhowan would probably know more about this, because you did the introduction in front of your cow, so you would know. You know, I'm only asking this as an amateur, but I mean, to maintain a dairy herd giving milk, I mean, don't you have to, you know, the cows to the bull, don't they have, you know, the calving, don't you have to get rid of the calves? You know, is there another side which I'm too young to see, and you know, or is that completely another film?
Yeah, Ron, sorry, Roger, a bit, I couldn't understand. The question is this, would you please, Rhowan, have me to just clear?
I think actually, Roger, those aren't my cows. They were my friend's cows. When I gave an introduction to the film Elaheh at my friend's farm. But I think, I mean, for me, it makes me think about, in Wales, actually, the industrialized dairy farming is very harmful for the environment, the large-scale dairy farming, where cows are kept in sheds for long periods of time. We have problems with dealing with slurry that pollutes the rivers, etc. Whereas in Firuze's example, this small herd, this small nomadic herd that's moving about seasonally, she's only grazing for a number of days in the year. You know, it shows us that another way is possible. It's still possible to produce on a much smaller scale, with a very strong relationship and connection, like to the land. And I think that that's something that perhaps we in Wales could go back to, and it would have huge environmental benefits for us here if it were possible to. There are, of course, many structural issues in society within the systems, our food production systems, that have put farmers on a different course. But we need, as a society, I think, to find a way to go back to a more you know, a way of farming that's more in balance with nature. So
exactly.
For me, that's a very strong message that comes through to me personally in the film.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Did Joanna have her hand up briefly?
I was going. Sorry, I was going to say. Sorry, there you go.
Go on, Gwen. I can say something after.
Well, all I was going to say was that, yes, cows are actually nomadic. You know, they migrated. That's what they do. They move. They never want to eat where they food. So they're always on the move. So that's the natural way to be. And, you know, you can have quite large herds moving through, and it's actually really good for the environment. So, you know, my vision for Wales is that we grass over all the roads and we take our herds of cows up and down the countryside on the roads.
Exactly.
And then we collect the poo as they poo and put it on our land. So
yeah, that's a very good suggestion. Yeah, absolutely right. Thank you so much for a great suggestion. Yeah, that's very true. That's totally true.
Yeah, we dream on. And films like yours help us to dream.
Yeah, sure. You know, what, I don't know, maybe pandemic, I mean, what coronavirus shows us is we have to do respect nature more and more, you know. Maybe my generation, the world, we who are living in the big cities of the world, we forgot from which roots we just came here. And, you know, we have to do respect as long as we enjoy them, we need them. So we have to think about them, think about our environment, temperature, I mean, that's, you know, trees, animals. But unfortunately, these type of new modern life, it just made the younger people to be struggled and just, you know, stuck in a very totally different situation, and they automatically become to forget these important issue in the environment. And I'm a little bit afraid that I hope that, for example, in the next 100 years we could still have this type of lifestyles, and maybe most of them will be like machinal, I don't know, in a new industry. They will go in the new industry too, and I still hope that, yeah, and I still hope that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Let's hope.
Maybe the last question from Joanna.
It was actually more of a comment.
Okay.
Just to thank you for such an inspiring film and a really interesting Q&A. And I just wanted to say that it's just something really so human about it, that I can really relate to her, even though she's from, you know, a totally different culture and part of the world. And you know, I'm busy multitasking, and that's why I've been off screen. So I can totally relate to that her way of being and things. So thank you.
Joanna, thank you so much. Definitely, I will bring you, I mean, that your message, which is a great message for me, and all of these lovely Roger, David, I mean, that all the lovely people who are here, Nicola, I will bring all of the message for tonight to her. I mean, I will call her tomorrow, and I hope that I could find her, because finding her by phone is very difficult. But definitely, I will send her your message, your feeling and your inspiring words. Thank you so much. Definitely, she would be more and more happy. And I myself, I really wanted to thank you, because I believe that any of you have your unique story. As the first audience, I would love to discover the story of your life. I hope that one day I can hear the story of your life, because even if I could learn 1 or 5 sentences, or I could experience any of these lives which I see here, not only me, my friends, the other people, that would be the best and great experience for all of us. So I should thank you for putting time and, you know, having time to watch my films. Thank you so much. And thank you for following me on that time. I mean, that following the Q&A, which sometimes it's not needed, but it shows, it brings some symbol to me that you still wanted to hear some more maybe comments about my film. And it's really, you know, I do really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elaheh. Diolch yn fawr iawn I chi. We've really loved having you as our guest today. Please convey to Firuze, she's a great teacher to us all, a great example to us all, and it's thanks to your hard work and dedication in making this project happen that Firuze can tell her story on screen, and your story is also getting told with it. So thank you very, very much for joining us today. It's been a great pleasure.
Thank you so much.